Hello, welcome to the first ever Midnight's Shadow Witchcast podcast, where I discuss all things witchy, spooky, and everything in between. But before we begin, let me say that your support means the world, and with that, you can now find me on Patreon, where for just $6 a month, you will receive exclusive discounts, Witchcast specials, and more. So journey your way over to Patreon and support a small business and rising podcast today with your donation. You can also support by following us on social media at Midnight's Shadow Spells and Brews on Instagram and Facebook, or at Midnight's Shadow S&B on TikTok. Alright, let's get into it. So recently upon the Midnight's Shadow Spells and Brews social media pages, I presented an Ask a Witch prompt, so you could ask your most curious questions for me to answer as a professional witch. From this prompt, I was asked, what is the best way to start your spiritual journey? A question I knew would be best answered by telling my story. So here it is. 22 years ago, on July 5th, 2001, I was born as the first of 4 children in an apostolic Pentecostal family. For anyone who doesn't know what it means to be apostolic Pentecostal, it is a faith-based path that follows the doctrines of the apostles from the Bible who followed Jesus Christ. The Pentecostal portion follows the belief and continued fulfillment of the events that happened on the day of Pentecost written in the scriptures of the Bible. Things like speaking in tongues and being filled with the Holy Ghost. All beliefs both sides of my family have enforced for generations leading up to my birth and the years to follow that would become one of many challenges for my family and their faith to overcome. Growing up, I naturally was a dominantly effeminate and sensitive soul with a predefined understanding of how my life would be fulfilled and how my family would react against such things. Things like how I was always attracted to images of physically and biologically masculine people, something that easily spelled homosexual to my family and caused some challenges for me and them. Even with my simple and temporary attractions to physically and biologically feminine people, it wasn't the same. My attraction to people of a feminine physical and biological appearance was truly more of a desire to be them instead of having a sexual connection to them. A pivotal point in my journey that as I grew older would affect me in more ways than one. Though it apparently wasn't enough to be just gay to my family in the eyes of fate, I apparently was destined to breach the border and dive straight into being a psychic medium and witch too. You can probably imagine how that went, right? Well, for years, starting as young as I can remember, I was always spiritually aware of things in the non-physical realm. I was gifted with the ability to see, hear, feel, and know what was happening, and my family seeing it as demonic always encouraged me to conceal it and ignore it. As the years passed and my gifts were tamed more and more each day, I noticed a draw to witches, wizards, magic, and witchcraft. Everything my faith-devout family was against. All of which I realized was the very thing with all the answers for what I can do and why. This led me to search for the truth. And in my search, I was guided to energy work, to the different paths of spirituality, and the correlations between witchcraft and other spiritual-based religions and practices. For many years, it was my secret to bear, until it came to light after I was caught searching for information about darker deities and spirits of the left-hand path. The consequences of this discovery left me and my family caught in tension for months, as the suspicion of my activities grew after being discovered, and my journey became more challenging. It wasn't until the death of my beloved mother that I decided to begin to live my life authentically, a slow process that fulfilled itself in October 2022, a process I am grateful has already been fulfilled and has guided me to this very moment. So what is the best way to begin your spiritual journey? From my experience, begin to separate yourself from any preconceived understanding projected toward yourself or the world that has been fueled by religion and or the trauma of life. It will only be a limitation to your journey as you try to evolve and progress up the spiritual ladder of ascension. Secondly, examine your expectations, needs, and desires you are in pursuit of fulfilling through spirituality. If your main focus is to obtain spiritual knowledge and power for the pleasure of your ego, then you are completely missing the range of benefits you can receive overall in attuning yourself to the spiritual realm. Number 3, explore the possibilities and range of paths available for spiritual fulfillment. The best way to do this is to explore your interest and natural attractions to different perspectives and methods of obtaining the specific fulfillment you are in pursuit of. Is it witchcraft? Is it paganism? Is it a mix of the two or something completely different? Explore. Lastly, consider what will give the best results in aiding self-discovery, empowerment, and liberation of the present barriers of life that keep you from the desired and needed fulfillment. But in truth, to successfully accomplish any and all of these things, you will be required to attune yourself to the innate wisdom of your soul and use its divine gifts for the benefits they reap, all of which spirituality is formed from, and all of which you are now ready for. So explore, reflect, embrace, and embody the full, untamed, beautifully powerful, and spiritual you. It's time. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe for all things Witchcast. Until we meet again.